Welcome to the deep dive. But today we're doing things a little differently.
Oh,
Yeah. Think of it like School of Joy.
School of Joy.
Exactly. We're diving deep into the world of Alan Watts.
Ah, Watts, a fantastic choice.
Right. And specifically his book, The Joyous Cosmology.
Now, that's a book that can really shift your perspective.
It really can. And, he's famous for those psychedelic experiences, but
Right.
we're not necessarily focusing on that.
Oh, so we're not advocating for everyone to go out and experiment with that kind of thing?
No, 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 not at all. It's more about the ideas those experiences sparked for him.
The insights anyone can get, whether or not they've ever touched anything like that.
Exactly. So, ready for a pop quiz?
Hit me with it.
Okay. So what if this whole mind versus body thing,
Oh, yeah, the classic struggle.
right? What if it's actually a superstition? Like a story we've been telling ourselves this whole time.
Whoa, okay, that's a big one. Now, Watts isn't saying the mind is unimportant,
Right.
but he's challenging us to rethink our picture of the body.
So it's not just a vehicle for the brain.
No, it's deeply intertwined with our thoughts, emotions, everything.
So it's like learning a dance move. When you first start, you're all stiff and thinking about every step.
Right. But once you get it, the body just takes over.
Yes, it has its own intelligence, a flow that we kind of ignore most of the time.
Exactly. And Watts argued that this mind-body disconnect is what causes so much frustration in our life.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I'm constantly fighting myself. So that's the mind-body split playing out in my everyday life then.
It very well could be. And Watts doesn't stop there. He talks about these incredible mental journeys where he describes the world perceived in a totally different way.
Like seeing with new eyes.
Exactly. He even talks about experiencing a new kind of time.
Whoa, new time. That sounds kind of tricky.
It's not about literally slowing down time, but more about shifting how we experience it. Think about being totally absorbed in a hobby.
Oh yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Right. Watts suggests we can cultivate that kind of awareness more often, seeing the world as this constant flow of energy and change.
I'm starting to get it. It's like we're tuning into a frequency we usually miss.
Yeah. And he describes it so beautifully in one passage. He says, the bud has opened, and the fresh leaves fan out and curve back with a gesture which is unmistakably communicative, but does not say anything except thus. And somehow that is quite satisfactory, even startlingly clear.
Wow, okay, that's a powerful image.
It really is. It's like we move from seeing static categories like leaf or tree to experiencing the process of sensing.
Everything is connected, constantly moving.
Exactly. A symphony of shape, color, sound, even meaning.
That makes me think of those moments when you're totally absorbed in nature, like watching a sunset or listening to waves crash. Have you ever felt that kind of oneness that Watts describes?
I think it's something we've all experienced at some point, even if we haven't always recognized it. But Watts takes this even further, using this hilarious story about his friend Robert and his car.
Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Picture this. A beat-up Buick convertible, but instead of passengers, it's overflowing with junk.
Chunk.
Like seriously crammed. Busted furniture, rusty tools, you name it. Watts called it a masterpiece of nonsense.
A masterpiece of nonsense.
I know, right? And this crazy car sparked a whole conversation about waste, responsibility, and ultimately, a lot of laughter.
Laughter about a junk-filled car.
I know it sounds strange, but Watts connected this to the idea that, from a bigger perspective, even our messes can be part of a grand, playful pattern.
Oh, I see. It's like we're all inside this giant artwork that we created, but we forgot we're the artists, so we take the mess too seriously and miss the humor.
Yes, like how often do we get bogged down in the seriousness of life and forget to laugh at ourselves?
More often than not, I'd say. And if we can step back and find the art, the beauty in something we normally dismiss as ugly or pointless, it completely transforms our experience.
So seeing the world as this playful creation, even the messy parts, that's a pretty powerful shift.
It is, and this playful perspective leads us to an even bigger idea that Watts explored. The feeling of being connected to everything, not in a controlling way, but in a way that dissolves the boundaries between you and the world.
Connected to everything. That's a big one. So it's like okay, imagine a wave in the ocean.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
It's distinct, it has its own form, but it's completely inseparable from the water. Is that the kind of unity Watts is talking about?
You're getting it. Watts felt that we forget this unity, and that creates this sense of separation and isolation.
Right.
But he believed that remembering this interconnectedness could unlock a deeper sense of peace and joy.
Wow. Okay. So if me isn't so separate, what does that even mean for how I experience the world? This is a lot to process.
It is a big idea, and it might sound a bit radical or even scary at first.
Yeah, I can see that.
But what if you just entertain the possibility for a moment?
Okay, I can try that.
What shifts if you are not so separate from everything else? It's a question worth pondering, and we'll come back to it later.
That's definitely something for our listeners to chew on. And hey, if the universe really is a game, what kind of player do you want to be?
Ooh, good question.
We'll be back in a flash to unpack more of Alan Watts' mind-blowing insights. Don't go anywhere.
Can't wait.
Back to School of Joy. So much to think about. But how do we actually apply all this cosmic wisdom to our everyday lives?
That's the question, isn't it? It's easy to get caught up in the abstract ideas.
Right, like who wants to be a walking encyclopedia of cosmic knowledge if it doesn't actually change how we live?
Exactly. Watts was all about making philosophy practical. He believed these insights could actually transform how we experience life.
Not just our thinking, but our being in the world.
Yes. And one of the key tools he talks about is meditation.
Meditation.
But not the kind where you're trying to empty your mind or achieve some blissful state.
Oh, so not the stereotypical image.
Right. He emphasized a much gentler approach, what he called allowing experience to unfold.
Okay, break that down for me.
It's like, imagine instead of constantly directing the movie in your head, you just sit back and watch what's playing on the screen.
So just observing.
Yeah, all the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts, they just come and go without us gets all caught up in them.
So it's about creating space between us and that mental chatter, like that inner critic who's always got something to say.
Exactly. And it's not about becoming emotionless, but about creating space for everything, even the unpleasant stuff.
So when we stop resisting, we can actually experience life more fully.
Without all the added drama that our minds create.
That sounds amazing, but also kind of hard. Any tips on how to actually cultivate that kind of awareness?
Of course. One of Watt's suggestions is to simply spend time not doing, just being present with whatever sensations arise.
So like just noticing.
Yeah. Notice the urge to label things as good or bad, but don't get swept away by those judgments. Just observe.
So instead of thinking, oh, my back hurts or I'm so bored, I just notice the sensation of my back or the feeling of boredom.
Precisely. It sounds simple, but it's incredibly powerful. And another practice he encouraged was cultivating nonsense.
Wait, nonsense. Okay, explain that one like I'm 5. Are we talking like running off to join the circus?
Not necessarily, but it's about breaking free from those rigid routines and thought patterns. Think spontaneous dance breaks, singing in the shower at the top of your lungs, playing with a pet like a child again.
So tapping into that playful, spontaneous energy.
Without judgment, anything goes.
I like it. So how does all this nonsense and meditation connect back to those big ideas we were talking about earlier, like the mind-body split and the world as a symphony?
It's all about integration. Remember, Watts believed that separating mind and body was a major source of frustration.
Right.
These practices, these moments of letting go and being fully present, help us bridge that gap.
We start to experience our bodies as part of this flowing, interconnected dance.
Exactly. It's not just about feeling better in the moment. It's about shifting our whole way of being in the world.
It's like we're learning a new way to dance with life.
Beautifully put. And the beauty of it is that anyone can start exploring these ideas. You don't need to be a meditation master or a psychedelic guru.
Right, it's like taking baby steps in School of Joy.
Exactly. What's one small thing you can incorporate into your week? Maybe 5 minutes of quiet stillness or a spontaneous dance party in your living room.
It's all about shifting our perspective, finding those moments of joy and playfulness amidst the chaos.
And who knows, maybe that trash-filled Buick will start to look a little more like art.
That's something to think about. Stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into the joyous cosmology of Alan Watts and how this new perspective can transform our relationship with ourselves and the world around us. Okay, final lesson in our School of Joy. We've covered the mind-body split, the world as a symphony, even finding beauty in a junk-filled car.
Quite the journey.
It is. But now the big question, how do we actually live all of this?
That's the core of it, right? It's easy to get lost in the ideas, but Watts was all about bringing philosophy down to earth.
Making it real, making it practical.
Exactly. He wanted these insights to transform our actual experience of life.
Not just the thinking part.
Right. Not just accumulating knowledge, but actually embodying it.
Yeah, like how do we turn those ha-ha moments into lasting change in how we relate to ourselves and the world?
That's where his idea of the joyous cosmology comes in.
The joyous cosmology.
It's not about escaping the world or pretending everything is perfect.
So not some rose-colored glasses view.
No. It's about embracing the world fully.
With all the good and the bad.
Everything. The messiness, the beauty, the light, and the shadow.
So instead of seeing life as a problem to be solved,
we start seeing it as this grand, spontaneous dance.
We're not trying to control every step.
We're moving with the music, even if we stumble now and then.
I like that. And Watts often used the analogy of a game to describe this way of being.
Oh, the game of life.
Right, so if life is a game, what are the rules? How do we win?
That's the beauty of it. There are no fixed rules. It's about discovering the joy in playing itself.
So not about achieving some specific outcome.
It's more about how you participate, how creatively and wholeheartedly you play.
So it's less about winning or losing, and more about the quality of our playing.
How much we enjoy the process even when things get tough.
That makes sense. We get so caught up in trying to control everything, force a specific outcome.
And we miss the beauty of the present moment, the spontaneity.
We're so focused on the destination that we forget to enjoy the journey.
And that's where all the practices we've been talking about come in.
The meditation, the nonsense.
It's about loosening our grip, letting go of that need to control.
And allowing ourselves to just be present with the game as it unfolds.
Exactly. It's not about becoming passive observers.
It's about becoming more conscious, more skillful players.
We're still making choices, but from a place of presence and acceptance.
Rather than fear and control.
Beautifully put. And remember, this isn't a one-time fix. It's a continual process.
Of remembering and forgetting.
Yeah, getting lost and found in the cosmic game.
There will be those moments of flow and ease.
And those moments of struggle and resistance.
We're constantly learning and relearning how to play.
Refining our skills, deepening our understanding of the game.
And that's where the real joy lies.
There's always something new to discover, a new way to approach it.
A new level of mastery to achieve.
It's an invitation to keep exploring, keep playing, keep finding that joy.
No matter what challenges come up.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up our time in School of Joy, what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
If I can leave you with one thought, it would be this. Don't take yourself or the world too seriously.
Good advice.
Embrace the mystery, find the humor, and above all, keep playing the game with a sense of wonder and delight.
Beautifully said. And remember, everyone, even if the universe sometimes feels like a trash-filled Buick, there's always a deeper beauty waiting to be discovered. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep those minds open and those spirits playful.